Welcome to TRL Radio with your hosts, Eric and Michelle Hall.
Your average Joe experts in simplified health. All right, well, welcome back to TRL Radio. So today's episode is power-packed. Actually, it's so power-packed that we couldn't fit all the power into one episode.
Right.
So this is a two-part series.
2 parts.
You're only going to get half of the power today. The other half is going to be in the next episode. It's power. And we couldn't jam it all into one.
Nope.
You couldn't handle it. Too much power.
Too much. You can't handle the power.
But yeah, so today, because we're going to be talking about food, right? And specifically like 4 life-changing food habits that work with any diet. So I want to just pause and time out here. So coming from someone, or I guess from a family, from both of us who tried various diets, who tried all the fads, everything to lose weight, you would hear statements like what we just said, oh, works with any diet, or this is life-changing, whatever, and you try it and you're like, this is dumb.
This is not working for me.
This is not life-changing. This is actually super annoying. Either that or just not sustainable. Okay, well, this is good once in a while, or if you have a ton of time.
Right.
These habits are actually sustainable. They're actually doable. Now, I'll preface, and we'll probably say this again in this episode, they're not necessarily easy, but they'll make things easier, right? Yeah. But that work with any diet. These are things that we've really implemented.
And you think, well, okay, that's great for you, Eric, that you lost 165 pounds. But just keep in mind, there were 6 of us doing this together. Our whole family, me, Eric, our 4 kids, all, you have men and women, you have different ages, different body types, even
different
though we're the same
preferences.
Yes, we have some kids that hate certain things and love other things, whatever. But everyone in our family, not that our kids especially were looking to lose tons of weight, but all of our bodies changed, our health changed positively. We all reaped the rewards of doing this. So even though we're all different, it really worked for all of us sustainably.
Yeah.
And we saw positive results.
Yeah, and so these 4 habits, and I'm sure if you can do the math, we're going to talk about 2 habits today, 2 habits in the next episode. But we all implemented them, and I lost 165 pounds, and 5 feet of fat because we measured that. So think about a 165-pound, 5-foot person. That's what I was carrying that I'm not anymore. And this was critical to it. And it's honestly, when people ask, and there's not one thing, but you get the question well, hey, what's the one thing you did? What's the one tip? And the one tip is there's not one tip. But if I had to boil it down to one simple thing, because everyone's always looking for food. We've talked about sleep before, stress, sunshine. You guys know
those
this.
are critically important.
Right.
But if there's one, the biggest thing that we changed, it had the biggest effect.
Is your diet. Yeah. And it's food. And these 4 things, honestly, revolutionizing, life-changing. So hopefully we've got your appetite. You want to jump into it. So we'll do that right now. So the first we're going to talk about is the right amounts. Now you'll see every one of our habits or tips or whatever starts with the word right, R-I-G-H-T, the right amounts, right? So with right amounts, we're talking about serving sizes. Everybody thinks they eat the right serving size.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I eat the right amount of things. I don't gorge myself on, ice cream and chips. I have the right amount. I have the right amount of dinner.
Right. Because we don't actually measure.
We don't know what the right amount is. We think we do.
It is this abstract term or this hey, do you eat well? Of course I do. Very few people say no, I eat really bad. Talk about drinking. Hey, do you drink a lot? No. I drink the average, but we don't actually know what the average is. We don't actually understand these things until we start measuring them. So everyone thinks they eat the right amount of food, but they don't.
No, and we didn't.
100% we didn't.
Yeah, that was one of the things we thought. We're oh, food isn't so bad. When we started this, yes, I had the bakery, but I was a stay-at-home mom, and my job was just and I say just, was cleaning the house and making food.
Yeah,
Like, so I was,
freeloader.
freeloader. I was the
Just
only,
kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Literally the hardest worker in the house.
instantly canceled. But yeah, like I made a lot of our food, but we're going to talk about what that food looked like then versus what it looks like now.
Yeah.
But because I'm like, oh, I make food at home. It's not like we're eating out all the time. It's not like we're ordering pizza every night. I'm making homemade food. Not all food is created equally in that way,
Right.
and we're going to kind of explore that a bit.
100%. Like, you think about it. Like, I was a 330-pound man that was clinically diagnosed as morbidly obese. Not just obese. I was morbidly obese. And the word morbid, I always think of like gross. Like, I was grossly obese. I don't know if that's what it actually means from a clinical standpoint. And thought I ate okay.
Right. You're like,
Do
well,
you eat okay? And I'm like, well, man, my diet can't be the reason why I'm this big. Like, it's got to be something else because I eat good serving sizes. I eat
Right.
good foods. I clearly did not. We'll talk about that a little bit today. Right. So how do we measure? How do we understand what the right amounts is? This is not rocket science. You've got to look at nutrition labels.
Right. It
Like,
literally tells you
yeah.
on there what the right amounts of things are, what a serving size is. We just most of the time choose to ignore that, or we, don't bother flipping the package, the box, whatever
right.
it is.
Or we
around.
just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, not that we know it's there, but like, you don't think to check it. You don't connect. At least I didn't. Like, it wasn't like I was purposely like, screw serving sizes. Like, I just didn't connect that to health, which maybe that's just really dumb of me. But now I know it's critically important, but I think a lot of people are there. You just don't connect, which is weird because it's called like a nutrition label. You don't really connect that to health, or you don't really like know how valuable that information is to how you're living your life, how you're eating. So yeah, look at nutrition labels. Like, on the nutrition label, it'll tell you what the serving size is.
Right.
And so we actually like brought up some examples of things that we used to eat on a regular basis, things that we eat now, as far as like serving sizes go. So yeah, so Michelle's got them on her phone right here.
So I have a couple. And again, as we do this, we're not trying to villainize any certain foods. We're going to bring up a couple name brand things that are okay to eat every once in a while. We'll get back into that at some point. But I'm not trying to villainize these things. But there's certain foods that you're like, oh, after I read this nutrition label, I should put it back on the shelf, or this is something I should have sparingly. So
Yeah,
as I read these
the reason
things,
we picked these ones in particular is because they're things that we ate a lot of, and we thought that they were health affirming. I guess I'll just say it that way. Like,
Right.
not good or bad. We thought it was like health affirming. Like, man, this
well, you
is
think like, so the first one I'm going to say is Cheez-Its. You think, well, Cheez-Its are a cracker, and there's cheese in the name, and cheese isn't terrible for you.
Right.
So like, if I'm eating Cheez-Its, that can't be that bad. It's not like I'm eating, again, 3 pizzas or whatever. Like,
Right.
it's a cracker. Crackers are healthy for you, right?
right.
But if you look, for one, serving size is 27 crackers, which when you say the number 27 sounds like, oh, that's actually pretty good. When you think about how big they are
Right.
and how many you typically eat, are you only eating 27 of those little bite-sized crackers?
Right. I know that when this was one of my go-to snacks, like, was Cheez-Its. And not go-to snack when I was trying to like lose weight or be healthy, but like just as when I was big, morbidly obese, like these Cheez-Its were a go-to because in my mind, I thought exactly what you said. Like, oh, these are a health affirming snack. And you might be listening saying, Eric, you're bonkers. Nobody ever thought that before. You might be the only person in the history of the world that thought that. Could be. I don't think that's the case though.
Right.
So, and I would just take some, I didn't count out 27, I would just pour them into a bowl.
Or sit there with the box.
Or sit there with the box,
Which
right?
is very dangerous. You're playing a very dangerous game there.
Yep, that's dangerous. But just pour them into a bowl, and I can't tell you roughly how many are in there. I can guarantee from knowing that like a Cheez-Its, probably one Cheez-Its about
1
that
inch
big or
square,
so. Yeah, like probably more than 27.
Right.
Probably at least double that just pouring them into a bowl.
Right. So think about amounts, and we're, going to look into more of what they're actually made of in a minute, but 27 crackers, not a ton. Now, if I talk about like Pringles, I think we kind of all know Pringles aren't like a health food,
Right.
right? But a serving size is 15 chips.
Right.
It's in the catchphrase. Once you pop, you can't stop. No one is eating just 15 Pringles.
Right. Like you reach your hand in there. Like, I mean, like what was the one where the people
you can't get their hand
stuck out
because
of it?
they're at the bottom of the yeah.
Like you pull it out and like 15 chips is probably like this, and like you're at least getting
eating
that.
a stack.
Right? So you're looking probably at least 2 serving sizes. And we'll get into more on these nutrition labels, but
right, yeah, serving size, not a ton. I remember, so I'm looking at serving size of Twix. I remember there was a day when a serving size was 1 Twix bar, but they come in a package of 2. And so they would do that so that they could have their calorie count down lower, and they could, because no one's thinking, oh, a package of Twix is 2 servings. No, you're eating both bars because they're delicious and they're not big.
I'm going to eat this one and then package and save the other one for later.
No one is doing that.
Said nobody ever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it does say serving size is 2 cookies. So kudos to you, Twix, for finally being honest. But still, I mean, you think 1 serving, it's just 1 package of Twix.
Right.
Again, we'll get into what's actually in those later, but Lucky Charms, 1 cup. 1 cup is not that much. I mean, think about how big a cereal bowl is. You're filling that sucker. Like,
I mean, I'm guessing the average person, because I'll say that I like, especially when I was like eating like a crazy person, like maybe I ate way more than the regular person did, but probably at least 2 cups. If not 2.5 cups, probably in
because you were having a
bowl of cereal, right?
And how many times did you go back and you're like, it's cereal, it's healthy, I'll have another bowl because I'm still hungry.
It's oats and whole grains or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Pop-Tart, same thing. Used to be just serving was 1 pastry. They've become honest with the public. Serving sizes now 2, but that means all the other numbers have gone up.
Right.
So then I started looking at things like, okay, how about an apple? Right?
So guess what the serving size is on an apple? 1 apple.
The whole dang thing. And when you actually look at the rest of the nutrition facts, which again we'll look into later, like what you're getting in that 1 apple.
And you think about, again, like we're kind of leaving you on a cliffhanger here because we're going to dive into these nutrition labels a little bit more. But you think about just at a quick face value, what's going to fill you up more? 1 apple or a full 2 cookie Twix? Like 1 apple, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be that one thing. But go ahead, keep going.
All right. So one of the things, so this one of our favorite snacks that we go to is hummus. Yes, roasted red pepper hummus is one of our favorites. A serving size on that is 2 tablespoons. I don't know, if you don't eat hummus, you might not, be able to comprehend like how much that is. But usually if you're having hummus, you're not just scooping it by the spoonful. You're having it with like some carrot sticks or sugar snap peas or, even a healthier cracker, something like that. You're dipping in like a pita chip, whatever. 2 tablespoons is a decent amount.
That's a decent amount of hummus,
it's a good fat, so it's also filling.
Yeah, like it's filling. And you think about like, and we're going to talk about some swaps a little bit later on. This is not like an equal swap. So this is kind of jumping into something we'll talk about a little bit later on in this episode. But I started taking hummus. Like I literally fell in love with hummus so much that like I'll use it on some things instead of mayo, right? I'm not saying that it's like, you might be like, those are bonkers or totally different. I get it.
They are different.
I'm not saying they're the same thing. But on a burger, like I'll put hummus on it. And 1 serving is 2 tablespoons of hummus. I'll tell you, on a burger, I'm not putting 2 tablespoons of hummus on it, right? And it's, I don't know, maybe this is just me. It is delicious, right? Nothing against mayo. Like, I'm not hating on mayo, right? Because I still use that once in a while. But, like, anyhow.
Very good. The last one I'm going to share, and this is my favorite one. And this is where you do have to turn the nutrition label around or the package around because this particular thing, they're not all created equal. But this is specifically lesser evil organic popcorn, Himalayan sea salt. You can have the serving size.
Lesser evil popcorn, Himalayan popcorn, like we're not sponsored by them.
No.
But we would love to be.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, hey, you're looking for someone to sponsor, like we got our hand in the air. We love your stuff. It's amazing. Sorry, go ahead.
Serving size, 3 cups. You can have 3 cups of popcorn.
Remember, how much was a serving size of cereal? Now I know popcorn and cereal aren't the same.
Right, 1 cup. Yeah, 27 Cheez-Its, 15 Pringles. You can have 3 cups of popcorn. 3 cups of popcorn is a lot. I typically don't eat that
Especially
much.
of this specific one.
Right. Of this, yes, because again, smart food popcorn might say 3 cups, but what's in it is going to be very different.
Right.
But there's a couple of them out there like this that you look at the ingredients, you're like, dang, this is good stuff, and I get to have 3 cups of it and
Right.
not feel guilty about it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna be grabbing this. And just so you know, like it's not like crazy expensive either. Where it's like, oh, that's great for those 3 cups. It's $10. It's not crazy expensive. Like it is. That's not how expensive it
Right.
is.
And-
we would not be buying it if so.
Oh, 100%. There's just so everyone understands, there's 6 people in our family. We're not buying the most expensive stuff in the planet because we can't.
No.
So as we're talking about serving sizes, let's talk about things a little bit too that there isn't a nutrition label. I think about like meat, chicken, steak, mashed potatoes, lasagna, right? These things that you make from home and you're like, that's super cool. What about that, right? What about...
Yeah, I can't turn my piece of lasagna over and be like, oh, what's the nutrition label?
Right,
Like,
right. So traditionally a serving size is like, like the palm of your hand, right? So it's not necessarily your hand where you're like, oh, sweet, I get to have a piece of lasagna. And if you're looking at the YouTube, like on the YouTube channel, like I'm like tracing my hand right now. If not, like, unless you're driving, listening, but kind of look at like the palm of your hand. So like imagine you had no fingers and no thumb. That's roughly what a serving size is. Now the serving size is going to be different for everybody. Like we were talking to somebody else about that and they're like, what about, someone who's, 6 foot, 8, 6'9", and playing in the NFL, their hands gonna be bigger. And I'm like, well, they're bigger people. So like their
They're
serving
gonna need
size when
more,
it comes to that stuff is bigger. Just a good measurement is like, okay, what is good? So like think about, okay, like, is my pork chop, is my steak, is it roughly like the palm of my hand? Is the piece of lasagna I have, is the scoop of potatoes I have, right? Like mashed potatoes, right? Like especially if they're homemade and it's, you're really hard to find nutrition sizes on that or serving sizes. Just think the palm of your hand, right? Think no fingers. What would that look like? Just from a standpoint of like understanding when you put it on your plate, right?
Right.
So that is the serving size. Meat serving sizes. Okay, so all this we're talking about, super great. It's going to be coming like a retraining of your body and a retraining of your mind, right? One of my favorite authors, his name is Bob Goff, will always say, like, you got to carve a new groove in your brain. As you learn new things, your brain gets more and more wrinkly because a new groove gets carved into your brain. That's just how our brains work. So the wrinklier your brain, technically, the more you know, right? So we want wrinkly brains. You got to retrain your brain. You got to retrain the way you think and retrain your body, right? So there's this phrase called homeostasis. Probably all heard it before, maybe you haven't. Basically, it's like no matter where your body's at. So when I was 330 pounds for an extended period of time, for years of my life, my body, that became homeostasis. And this is actually a good thing. Our bodies want to make life as easy as possible for us. Our bodies want us to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. This is great. Because as you then do other things that are more complicated, your body's not fighting against you, right? So there's this flat line of homeostasis. No matter where you're at, think about like where you're most comfortable. If you're like, okay, you're living your life, that's homeostasis. When you're trying to make changes, you're obviously trying to go against homeostasis. And so this might sound weird, but your body actually kind of fights against you. Like your brain is like, wait a minute, time out. This is hard.
Yeah.
This
is
isn't what I'm
new
used
and
to.
I don't like it. So even though you're trying to do good things for your body, like this is why, you think, oh, well, I exercised every day this week and I ate better and yet I didn't lose weight or I actually gained a pound. Your body's trying to figure crap out. It's like, wait,
Right.
What are we doing? We haven't worked out. We haven't done these kind of things in forever or ever. And now you're throwing this on. I don't know how to respond yet.
Right.
And that's okay. It just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, think about breathing. If you had to actually consciously think about breathing or making your heart pump, right? Homeostasis, it says, hey, your body's like cruise control. We got this.
We got that.
You don't got to think about it. When you go to make things different, when you go to change, even like if you want to implement, we talked about a couple episodes ago, some different breathing techniques, you have to think through it. And you're changing what you're doing. Whenever you implement a new habit, like your body's going to immediately, and your brain is going to fight against you because you're changing homeostasis. So there's going to be a retraining. This is like what I said earlier, like at first, this isn't going to be easy. It's going to feel like homework, but it gets easier because your body starts to go, okay, I get what we're doing now. Let me hop on board, right? I know it sounds weird because like it's almost like you feel like you're two people. Like you have this one side of you that's like, want to be healthy, want to eat well, want to be nutritious. And your other part of your body that's like, but that's not normal for us.
Right.
What are you talking about? And you
Right.
gotta like, they will eventually unify. The one that you stick with the most will be the one that wins.
Right. And all four of these habits that we're talking about, as we're talking about looking at nutrition labels, when I go shopping, I still look at nutrition labels, but I've done the homework. I've trained my brain to know what to look for. So it's not as difficult anymore. At first, it felt like it took me hours to go grocery shopping because it's like, okay, let's pick up this box and see what it has, and let's pick up this. Now I can recognize certain products, certain ingredients, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to stay away from that. Oh, this one, this catches my eye because of this, this, and this. Let me just check. I can fly through them. I know now what to look for.
Yeah.
And so it does feel a little bit like homework in the beginning, and we want to help you out with that, give you great examples. So it's not as much homework, but it does become, it's not easy, it becomes easier.
It's like probably like reflexive now. Like,
Yeah.
I know for me, like my kids will make fun of me because like they'll bring home like, and again, I don't really care. They'll bring home candy, sugar, whatever. Again, no hate. Like I eat candy, sugar. But I'll immediately like grab it and just want to look at it. And they'll be like, so they'll bring it home. They'll be like, Dad, don't look at the ingredients. And it's not like
We know it's not good.
I'm not looking at it to judge. It's just like
Just
it's a reflexive now
yeah.
of me just, I want to see what's in this, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes, again, it becomes easier. So also too with our body, it really has two systems. Like it has a like a weight loss or like, you know, where we're looking to make changes, like you're looking to lose weight system, and it has like a maintain system. And it's like an on-off switch, right? You can't be both, right? You can't be like, well, I want to maintain and lose weight. Nope. It's either you're going to maintain. Maintain can easily turn into gain if you're not careful, or you're losing. And most of us are at that maintain or gain stage, whatever. And you've got to like flip that switch. So as much as in your mind, you might be like, you know, you think about January 1st. All right, in your mind, you made the change. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this, whatever. Your body's like, let's turn that like the other way, right? Because we're not ready for that. Eventually, like I said, they come together.
Right.
Part of this too, when you talk about like serving sizes and how much you're eating, especially when you're in that like lose phase, you're going to be hungry. I'm not saying you're going to be starving.
You shouldn't be starving.
You should not be starving.
Your body is starving like it needs something. Yeah.
Listen, do you remember what I said to you? And I don't want to put you on the spot here. Remember what I said when people were like, oh my gosh, you lost 165 pounds. Like, what did you do? Cut your arm off? Like, remember what I would tell people?
That like, man, it's not easy, but like I never feel like I'm depriving myself.
Yes.
Like I'm eating, I'm not starving myself. Like, oh, this is difficult and there's things I have to choose between, but like I don't feel like I'm depriving myself
Right.
of
I
anything.
lost this 5 foot, 165 pound person. And I would always tell people, I don't feel like I worked hard enough to have that kind of results.
Yeah.
And again, please don't misunderstand me. There was sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
There
You
were
worked
things,
hard.
There were things I didn't do, things I didn't eat, lifestyle habits I adopted that I hadn't adopted before. So I'm not sitting here saying like, oh my gosh, it was a breeze. I barely did anything. That's not what I'm saying. But to think about what I lost, a 5 foot, 165 pound person, unhealthy person that I was carrying is gone. And people were like, and still are, which is great. I am too when I hear stories with other people like, they're shocked, they're blown away. Like, how did you do that? And I'm just like, I don't feel like I worked hard enough for those results. Again, not that it was easy, but it becomes easier. And then also too, these benefits compound. So when we talk about like these 4 habits, this first one being the right amounts, like this is legit, guys. Like this is real. This is the secret that shouldn't be a secret. And it's so simple. This is why our company, our podcast is The Rudimentary Life, because it's rudimentary. Like, it's not this rocket science stuff we're talking about here. But all I have to say, being hungry is okay. You're going to be hungry. And you have to just learn your body will, again, that homeostasis will come back to that to where you'll be less hungry because your body's going to be like, oh, we're eating less food now. Let us adjust to get used to that, right? And it takes some time, but it gets there and it becomes easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So cool thing along with that is your body does know what it needs.
Right.
Our bodies are intuitively geniuses. Especially when you're eating the right foods, your body knows what it needs.
So when you're craving something, and you're like, man, why am I craving chocolate right now? Why am I craving something salty or something? There's a reason, right?
Yeah, so there's this sciencey term called post-ingestive feedback, right? So post-ingestive feedback, ready? Like, who cares? What does that mean? Actually, what this is actually like really cool. Who cares what the term is? Or what it actually is like let's just go back in the day, right? You know, before all the processed foods, before pantries, before refrigerators or whatever, and you're out hunting and you find blueberries, right? And so you pick the blueberries and you eat them. Every cell in your body, as you eat and digest that, right? Every cell in your body takes almost like a Post-it note and says, okay, blueberries taste like this, and they give us these vitamins, nutrients, minerals. Cool. Want to remember that. So later on, when your body's like, oh, wait, so we need some of these minerals to just function for different things that our body needs to live and to do these processes. What is it again we need? It's almost like a Rolodex. There you go. They're like, oh, blueberries. Blueberries give us
provide that.
Let's make my person, which again, this sounds super weird. Let's make that person desire blueberries because we need some of these things. And so all of a sudden you're like, you know what sounds great? Blueberries. There's a reason for that. Your body's like, we need the minerals that are in those blueberries,
What's
right?
inside of them.
So you go and eat the blueberries. Back in the day, blueberries were the only thing that tasted like blueberries that gave you the nutrients that blueberries gave you.
Right. The problem nowadays
Is that's post-ingestive feedback, whatever. There's a quiz at the end. Just kidding, there's not. Right, but that's why you desire certain foods, right? Why you would have certain cravings. That's why you think about like a pregnant woman that has certain cravings. That's like, I never craved this before. How come suddenly I crave this? Because your body's doing something it's never done before.
Right.
Right. It is creating another human, and so there's other nutrients and minerals that your body needs or whatever. There's literally stories of like pregnant women that like crunch on gravel because of the minerals and the iron that's in gravel and dirt, but they like desire it. I'm not saying anyone should go do that.
Don't go to your driveway and grab a handful of gravel.
Yeah.
But your body's craving something so much that it's like, okay, this makes sense to me. I'm going to eat this because I think I'm going to be able to get the
like
nutrients.
It actually like sounds desirable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
you think, oh, you're crazy, but it's like, oh no,
right.
There's probably better ways to get it than
100%,
gravel.
right.
Don't eat the gravel. But yeah, it is crazy that your body works that way. The
Yeah.
problem nowadays is we have blueberry flavored everything.
Right.
What about a blueberry Pop-Tart or, blueberry, some kind of blueberry cereal, right? Isn't there?
Right, yeah. Blueberry, Count Chocula,
blue
right?
raspberry, ice cream or frozen yogurt or slushy.
Oh, so yeah, so we have these food scientists that they have this thing they created. And again, this is going to sound like Netflix movie, like conspiracy theorists. This is actual real things. Like this is real. I promise you. Look it up.
Go
right?
Google it. Ask the Google.
But they have this thing that's been able to somehow, we'll go back to our blueberry example, they've been able to identify what man-made chemicals make up that flavor of blueberry, right? So and how do you do that? I literally don't know. It's science fiction to me, but it's actually not science fiction. It's science nonfiction, right? So they're able to like say, okay, like if we add these chemicals this chemical ingredient list makes the same, or at least close enough
Mimics
to
the
it,
flavor of blueberry.
a blueberry. Like it's the same thing, but it's not the blueberry. So now they can take that, like you were saying, and put it in the Pop-Tart, put it in the ice cream, put it in the energy drink. They can put it in all this stuff, so it's a blueberry flavor. Now our bodies are wickedly confused because we desire, your body's like, hey, we need these things that are in blueberries, so I desire blueberries. And so what we desire then is not the actual blueberry, is like the Pop-Tart, the blueberry Pop-Tart.
Because I get that same taste of blueberry in this Pop-Tart, but when I eat it, I'm not getting the same nutrients.
Right, the nutrients aren't there, right? Because it's a hyper processed, right, ultra processed food. The nutrients aren't there. It's a lot of chemicals. We'll talk about that in a minute here. And so our bodies are desiring this, and we're eating this stuff, but it's also not filling us up. So just a couple other things, right? So the scientists were able to do that, and also too, they have this thing. There's this scientific food term called bliss point, all right? BLISS, bliss point, to where, and again. How do you do this? I don't know. I kind of want this job because it kind of sounds cool. But like being able to be like, how can we take food and take the person who's eating it all the way up to the point of where it's like, this is so amazing, but not over that edge, because over that edge is going to be like, oh man,
And I'm content.
okay, whew, I'm good. We want to take you up to that bliss point, but then stop to where you're like, I need more.
Yeah.
I need more, right? And so they've figured out how to get to this bliss point, right? And so between crunch, between textures, between ingredients, between flavors, they've been able to figure out how to do this. So this is all in these foods, right? Now you think about that blueberry. Even if you have like the most delicious blueberry in the entire world, it's probably not like, oh my gosh, that was amazing, right? Or like
I
the
need
best apple
5,000 blueberries to
or
feel
the best
content.
carrot, right? It's good and you like it. And I can't say that, like, especially when you start like cooking food and putting different ingredients together, like in real whole food ways. Like I've ate food that especially you've made and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is unreal, right? So food can be that, but in and of itself, like typically apples aren't taking us to that bliss point.
Right.
They were never meant to, right? They're meant to be enjoyed and they're delicious. But science has been able to be like, what can we do to make people continue to desire this, but desire it, but never have that desire be satiated? That's bliss point. One of the ways they do that is also by not filling us up with this food. So, and this is where this phrase that's called vanishing caloric density. Again, another real thing, but basically what that means is that when you eat the blueberry Pop-Tart, you get that blueberry taste and your body goes, this is what we're looking for. These are the nutrients we need. But as you're eating all the calories, but your body doesn't get the nutrients because it is, after you digest it, it's there's no substance to it, and so you don't get full. And so you can eat 2 Pop-Tarts and be like, I'm still kind of hungry. I'm going to eat 2 Pop-Tarts and a bowl of cereal for breakfast this morning because 2 Pop-Tarts just don't fill me up.
Right.
It's because of this thing of vanishing caloric density. Again, look it up, right? Fact check all this stuff, please. And so you're never full, right? So that way, what you say about Pringles,
Once you pop, you can't stop.
yeah, they kind of rub it in our face, right? Like, hey, once you
We
pop, you
know,
can't-
we know you can't stop. We know
Right.
you're addicted, and
Right.
we've done all.
I remember the like the Lay's commercial that was like, "Bet you can't eat just one," or
Right, something along those
yeah,
lines.
yep, yeah. So things like this, like to where like they've taken us this one with this vanishing caloric density. So we keep eating it. We keep eating it. You remember the last time you ate an entire bag of apples?
No.
Probably never. Why? Because apples don't have vanishing caloric density. They're nutrient dense.
Right. So you eat one, and you're like,
And you're feeling good. You're
good.
like, okay, yeah. When's the last time you ate like a whole bag of carrots? Probably never.
Right.
Right? Because you eat it and you're like, oh, I feel good now. Like this is filling, right?
Yeah.
So I know that was a lot of stuff there, but like I think it's important for us to understand kind of what we're battling against a little bit with these foods and why maybe you desire certain foods or why you eat things and they're not helpful to you or you're not filling you up. And so all that to say, like, 'cause this is kind of under the guise of like, okay, we might be a little bit hungry. Like the more nutrient dense foods you eat, your body will desire these things. And when your body desires them, think about the natural things. So if you're desiring Pringles potato chips, right? Or you're desiring, think about, okay, like what's in that potato chip that I'm really desiring, right? I know they're salty. And I know there's a crunch, right? Okay, what's a better way I can get those things as opposed to the Frito?
Right.
You know, oh man, I really want something sweet, right? Oh my gosh, like, you know, chocolate sounds amazing right now. Well, there's really great minimally processed chocolates
Right.
out there that your body's craving those things that are actually good for you. So you just kind of got to like be mindful.
Right. And hopefully this is empowering because you
Yes.
can say, oh, I'm not crazy. Like I'm eating and yet I'm never feeling full. Am I just like a bottomless pit? Am I
Right.
just a pig that can't stop eating? Like, do I have a self-control problem? We probably all do to some extent. But when you have foods that are working against you, that literally are made in a way to trick your brain, you're not crazy. Like it's a hard
Yeah.
uphill battle. So that's when you start changing some of these things out and learning, oh, it's not just me. It's not all my fault. Some of these things I'm eating are actually the problem. Let me, now that I know, I can make wiser choices.
That's such a thing, but
Yeah,
like
the more you know.
The more you know. Do, do, do. Or G.I. Joe, right? Knowing is half the battle. Now
Right.
you know. The other half is doing.
Right.
right? So now you can't say, I don't know. Now you do.
Yep. Sorry.
Now you got to do, right? So knowing is half the battle. Now you've got to do, right?
Right.
And so, again, hopefully this is empowering. Food scientists have literally hijacked our brains and our bodies when it comes to food. You can, and when I say fight back, like, and I think a lot of this times, like, it's not like these food scientists are evil scientists being like, what
Right.
can we do? Maybe some of them are.
Right.
But I think a lot of them are just well-meaning people that are, hey, we want to make delicious food.
Right.
Right.
We want people to want our food.
Right.
Okay.
I get it.
I get that.
I understand that, right? We just got to understand, and not that any of these foods that we talked about are bad, but we got to understand like what we're dealing with when we eat them, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like the point there, right? So some hacks to make this easier, right? Again, not easy, but easier. The first one I already mentioned, now you know.
Yeah.
Or I guess we already mentioned, be mindful.
Yep.
Just think through what you're eating. When you're desiring a certain food, or think, like, this might sound so dumb, like, why am I desiring this? Like, what is inherently in this that sounds good? Is it the crunch? That's awesome. There's not necessarily any nutrients in crunch.
Right.
But
But there's
you're
a
like,
lot of nutrient-dense foods that
that
have
are
crunch.
crunchy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. One of the things, just as a side note, that I've come to, and you're going to be like, this is not the same as a potato chip. I get it. This is definitely not the same as a potato chip. I'm not a dummy. I get it. But we talked about hummus earlier. Sugar snap peas and hummus. I promise you they're not the same as chips and dip.
No.
But if you
But
want a
they're crunchy.
crunch, you want a good flavor, you have something that's actually going to be nutrient dense and it's
little
going to fill
salty
you up.
kick and-
Yep, a little salty kick, like sugar snap peas and hummus. And the serving size is 2 tablespoons, and you can probably have like 30 to 40 sugar snap peas. And I know I never eat 30 to 40
Right.
because I don't want to eat that many of them.
Yeah.
Like, and it tastes good. It feels good. Now, if you're like, same as chips and dip, no. But anyhow, just be mindful, right? Be mindful of that. Some of the
Absolutely.
other
Another
ones,
thing that we did was, and this seems like just silly, but have smaller plates. Like the actual plate you're putting your food on. We eat with our eyes first, right? So if you have this giant plate and you put this teeny little portion of potatoes and this teeny little portion of meat and little you're going to be like, dang, that's a little bit of food. I want to fill this sucker up all the way, and that's when I'm going to be full. So trick your mind. Scientists are doing it. You might as well do it too and have it be beneficial for
Right.
you. Use a smaller plate. Your brain then doesn't really realize, oh, this is a smaller plate. It just sees, oh, I got a full plate of food.
right.
And so, again, it's just a way to kind of trick your brain into thinking you're eating more than you really are. And then your body, like we talked about that homeostasis, will align itself and you won't even need the smaller plates anymore because you'll be full after eating smaller
Right.
portions.
It is obviously a smaller plate. You can't put as much on there anyhow, right? So
absolutely.
you think about it's funny, you were talking about eating with your eyes first. Like, I can't remember what show we were watching. I want to say it was like that Magic for Humans show. And I don't know how this
Okay.
ties into magic, but they did I don't know if it was an experiment as part of whatever, but they had like the stand outside to where they had like the smell of like chocolate donuts or whatever that they like
We're pumping through.
were pumping through. Like, it was like in a park. Like they had like just like a fan blowing out. People would smell it, they'd come to it. But they specifically designed all of their donuts to look like turds. And the sales they had that day, they were super low. The next day they did the exact same thing, but they looked like real donuts. The sales went super high. So I don't know what that has to do with, and that might not even be the show, but like, or what it had.
Right,
But do you remember
like,
this a little bit? Like,
kind of, yeah. Like where, what
You eat
you
with your
see,
eyes
you
first,
eat with
yeah.
your eyes. So yeah,
Yeah.
smaller plates make it pleasing to the eye.
Yeah, and somehow turd-shaped donuts
Are
are
not
not as
pleasing.
appealing.
That's shocking.
as
I'm shocked
regular
right
donuts. So
Yeah.
smaller plates. Another hack that we use is to keep extras in the kitchen. So by
Yeah.
that, we're specifically talking about when you're eating a meal. For us, a lot of times it's dinner at the table as a family. Is that you keep the extras in the kitchen as opposed to bringing all the pots out, whatever. Like,
As much as family style is fun and having it all on the table, you pass it around and stuff. When you want more before you realize you're full, it's right there. So we know we're lazy. We know that we're not going to walk the 10 steps to the kitchen to
the
go
kitchen
get
is
more.
wicked
Like,
far away when you're eating dinner.
that's really going to like play into my decision of, do I really want more? Oh, dang, it's 10 steps away. I think I'm good. So use that use your laziness to your advantage.
Right.
Like, leave it out there. If you're really still hungry after you sit for a minute and you're like, yeah, you know what? I kind of want some more. Like, that's okay. It's not
Right.
like we never have seconds depending on what it is.
right.
But leave it in the kitchen so it just kind of gives your body and your mind a second to decide, am I actually full? Like we literally did this the other day. We had tacos.
Right.
And we left everything in the kitchen. And I finished mine. And they were big tacos. They were not just like, your tiny little tacos. And I ate one. And I was like, man, that was really good. I think I want another one. But everything to make it is in the kitchen. I'm just going to sit here for a minute. And I was like, oh, I'm actually good. And it's funny, actually, one of our kids did go and get another one. They got halfway through, and I said, oh, I might get another one. And they were like, don't do it. This was a mistake. They were like, oh, I ate too much. Don't do it. Just wait a second. And I did. And I was like, oh, I'm good now.
Yeah.
That's
perfect.
Leave it far enough away where you know that your laziness will work to your benefit.
100%. Yeah. And then a lot of times, too, while you're sitting there contemplating, at least for us, you haven't noticed, we're chatty. Us two are very chatty, and our kids are
even more so.
Yeah,
most of the
follow
time.
suit.
Yeah,
you'll get caught up in a conversation, and you're talking, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I'm actually not as hungry as I thought I was." Right? Especially, but if it was been there while you were talking, you would take more or whatever.
Right.
So, anyhow, keep the extras in the kitchen on the table. You already mentioned this one. Don't eat out of the bag, out of the box. Right? Whether it be, the lesser evil pink Himalayan sea salt popcorn or Cheez-Its or Pringles or Oreos or, trail mix, whatever you're eating, get the serving size and then put the box, right? Slowly put the bag in the box down and slowly back away, right? Get what you want or what the serving size is and then leave it there. Don't take more with you. Don't eat out of the bag of the box. It's literally asking for danger.
Yeah. And then the last thing we have here for now is it's not like we never eat in front of the TV. If we said that, we would be lying, and we're not trying to be fake here. We definitely eat in front of the TV. When we had those tacos, we were watching, I think, Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Because it had been a long day.
Shout out to Ted Lasso, man.
I think we already mentioned Ted Lasso in another episode. Maybe we haven't.
We did, because remember the very first episode, I had just the mustache. Because it was from
we
Halloween.
love Ted Lasso. It's so good.
So Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis, is just more power to you, man.
Love
you are
to you, friend.
I want to have you as Ted Lasso on our podcast. I'm throwing it out there right now. So
yeah, it's there. It's there. But we were eating those tacos and watching Ted Lasso. It had been a long day. Everyone had been, and we're just like, I don't want to sit in a chair right now. I just want to sit on the couch. That's okay. We're not saying never eat in front of the TV. But when every meal you eat is in front of the TV, or every dinner even, you're going to be mindlessly eating.
Right.
And also, you're missing out on conversation, possibly, even if you're by yourself, you're just missing out on time spent alone, quiet, learning how to be by yourself, quiet. So you eat more mindlessly and eat more in general when you're eating in front of the TV. It's just, they go hand in hand. You binge watch Netflix, you binge on a bag of potato chips.
Yep. Yeah. We like to pride ourselves as being, this, multitasking culture. And from a scientific standpoint, you really can't multitask. You can't devote 100% of your brain to two things. You can do multiple tasks, but neither of them are going to get 100% of your time. So you usually end up doing two things not as well as you could, right? So the same goes with eating and watching TV, or eating and driving, right? Whatever. Again, not that I've never ate and drove before, but what I'm saying is that you're going to eat more and you're going to not eat as well when you're doing it when you're eating while you're doing something else. So even working, right? I'm going to have my lunch while I work. I've done that before. Life happens. I get it. As much as you can, though, try to, when you're eating, be mindful of what you're eating. Spoiler alert, we'll talk more about why that's actually critically important to what you eat in the next episode. I guess maybe not spoiler, teaser, whatever. But so you want to make sure that when you're eating, you're mindful about what you're eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be that. So, yeah, so those are some hacks. So that's the right amounts, right? So we talked about, we have the 4 life-changing food habits that work with any diet. You notice in here, we didn't talk about whether you're, vegetarian or you're carnivore or you're whatever diet, you're a Mediterranean diet or whatever, right? Atkins diet, right amounts works with every single one of those diets, right? Because these all work with whatever diet, right? So the first one, right amounts. Second one,
right foods.
Right foods. So you got to eat the right amounts of the right foods.
Yeah.
So we have this thing called the standard American diet. A lot of times, you look at it as an acronym: standard, S, American, A, D, diet, SAD. It actually is SAD. So they call it the SAD diet, also called the cardboard diet. A lot of times it's called the cardboard diet because we're eating the vast majority of our food out of cardboard boxes, right? It's something that you've poured or whatever. And again, we're not hating on that because we have cardboard boxes full of food in our pantry, right?
Yep.
But it's more about the percentage of what you're doing there, right? So 60% of our diet, 60+% of our diet is ultra processed foods, right? Ultra processed foods. So at least for me, that was a new phrase. At least for us, it was a
Right.
new phrase. We're like,
Right.
okay, ultra processed.
What does
like,
that mean?
that sounds good, right? It's ultra processed, right?
Right. Power pack. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So what does that mean? Processed versus ultra processed. Well, humans have been processing food since the beginning of time, right? Think about if you take a pork chop, you take steak, you take chicken, raw chicken steak, whatever, pork chop, and you cook it. Even if you just sear it on both sides, you have processed it.
Right.
It's not what it originally was.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay. Another example is
Extra virgin olive oil. Like you can't you have to squeeze
Right.
the olives to get the olive oil
You
out.
can't get extra virgin olive oil
unless you
out of an
have
olive
some
unless you
kind of process.
process it.
Yeah. So
you're
there's a process
processing,
there.
right?
Yeah. Tomato sauce.
Yes, that's another good one.
Yeah. If you have a tomato, it doesn't just magically become sauce. You have to put it under some
Yeah,
kind
you
of
can't
process.
grow tomato sauce.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah, you can't go to the tomato sauce tree and be like, oh, I'm going to pick some tomato sauce today, right? You have to take tomatoes and process them to make the sauce.
But here's the thing. You see that tomato, you can directly correlate that tomato to the tomato sauce. You can say, oh, I can see
Yes.
there was a process there, but they're still both red. And you can see like chunks of tomato in this. And it's the same thing.
Yeah. Extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah.
Oh, we squeezed this olive, the oil came out. Coconut oil. We took this coconut, squeezed it, got the oil out. Like, there's a direct correlation. That's processed food. That's great. There are also things that you don't process. An apple, you pick it, you eat it.
Right.
Carrot, sugar snap peas. It's going to be most of your fruits and vegetables, right? That you just take or seasonings and spices, right? That it's there.
There's very
right?
little processing unless you grind it or cook
Right.
it, things like
Minimal,
that. But you can
yeah.
eat it right off the tree.
Versus, you look at this majestic cornfield, and then you grab your box of blueberry cereal or Count Chocula cereal or your Doritos, and you go, this Dorito
Used
came
to
from
be
that cornfield. And people are like, huh?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, what if you were to go to some third world country, some tribe, and it would be like, hey, here's a Dorito. Can you tell me where this came from? They're going to be like, no.
Yeah.
I can't tell you where that. But if you were to be like, hey, here's tomato sauce, where did this come from? They're going to be like, oh yeah, you smashed tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
Ultra process is always when you're looking and you're like, there's no way I can figure out what this came from.
The end result has no resemblance of the original food that it came
That's
from.
ultra processed. So when we say 60+% of our food of our diets are ultra processed, you think, okay, well, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, what's the big deal? The reason why is that process involves chemicals, involves a lot of things that not only strip the nutrients that were from what were originally there, but then also too things that are added in. We've already talked about your, vanishing caloric density, that bliss point, these chemicals that are put into the food to make it like so tasty. That all really just degrades the quality of, and honestly, really can even call it food. They're more like food-like products, right? If you think about what food actually really should be, right? So that's 60+% of the standard American diet is ultra processed foods. And then we wonder, why do we have a weight issue, right?
Right. So the first thing to look at when you're talking about the right foods, surprisingly, we're going to go back to nutrition labels.
Yeah, right. Broken record.
Broken record. So I'm going to look at some of these same nutrition labels, like we talked about serving size, right, with the right amounts. You look at Cheez-It crackers, and the first ingredient is enriched flour. And one thing under nutrition labels, there's certain words that should kind of stand out, right? Like things that you should be on the lookout for that you're like, oh, these aren't good things. And sometimes, so the first thing in Cheez-Its is enriched flour. And you hear the word enriched and you're like, oh, it's enriched.
It's enriched. I want to be enriched.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
I want to be enriched with knowledge and with wealth.
And with Cheez-Its.
Right. And with Cheez-Its.
Enriched is actually not good.
It's a fancy word for processed.
Yeah, like overly processed. So when you're looking at like a nutrition label, things you want to watch out for are, for one, things you can't pronounce.
Right.
So like if I'm looking at some of these, thiamine mononitrate, we've got like some of these I can actually pronounce on this one. There's annatto, and I think I'm saying that right, annatto extract color, soy lecithin, and again, this one's actually not too bad compared to some of the other ones that I have.
Right.
But like, I don't know what those are. There's certain oils. Like this one has vegetable oil, high oleic soybean palm,
let's just
and/or canola
pause.
oil. Yeah.
We could do we probably will at some point, a whole thing on oils. You think vegetable oil,
Came
and you're
from
like,
vegetables. That's fantastic.
they squeezed some vegetables and got some oil. Let me maybe like ruin your day.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
There are no vegetables in vegetable oil.
No. Actually, if you were to Google like the process
Look it up.
by which vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean, some of these oils are
Palm
made,
oil, yeah.
it looks like the type of stuff you'd put in your car to make it run. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to put the stuff that I'm putting in my car engine into my body.
Right.
Those seem like they should be two very different things, but the process, the things that they do, the chemicals, I'm like, oh, that's nasty.
Right.
I don't want that in my body.
Yeah, they actually have to like, and this is not an oil master class as much as it's a food master's class, but like they actually have to add chemicals to it to make it qualify for
edible.
human consumption,
Yeah.
right? They have to add things to it. If you were to see it in its natural state, not only would it reek, but the color would be disgusting. So they add colors, they strip things, they actually add bleach. And you think about, why would you add bleach to food? Doesn't bleach kill us? Yep. Canola
But if it
oil is
wasn't
killing us.
bleached, you would look at it and be like, I'm not eating that.
Right.
Because the color is so awful.
Oils are important of what you're consuming. So
Right.
go ahead, keep going.
So like I'm looking at Lucky Charms right now and you think, oh, the first ingredient is whole grain oats. That's cool. The next one is sugar. The next one is cornstarch, modified cornstarch, corn syrup, dextrose, gelatin, trisodium phosphate. Now here comes the plethora of just colors that are added. Red 40, yellow 5 and 6, blue 1, natural and artificial flavor. We can talk about that. You think, oh, natural flavors. It's natural. That's great. Artificial flavors, I think we all kind of, artificial, anything artificial probably isn't the best. But you see natural flavors and think, oh, that's good, right?
Right. So and we'll mention this a little bit later too, but like in order for something to be labeled as natural, the umbrella definition of that is super big, right? It has to be able to, right, at the base of it, it was something natural, but then you can add whatever you want to it, right? So it's like, oh, there's this natural flavor. So you think natural flavor is like, oh, they put coconut in it to give that coconut flavor. Maybe it started as coconut, but there was a bunch of stuff added to it,
Right. It was
to where
so-
it's no longer coconut, but it can fall under the definition of a natural
Right.
flavor.
It was so chemically processed. that
Right.
It's like, oh, that's not really
So,
coconut
again,
anymore.
Not hating on these things, but just,
Yeah.
again, we want to make people aware because these are things we didn't know.
Right.
And then wonder, why do we struggle with our health?
Right. Speaking of like those Lucky Charms, one of the things on here, total sugar is 12 grams in that 1 cup. And then it says, this is including the added sugars. Guess how many added sugars there are? 12 grams. So there's no natural sugar. All 12 grams are some kind of artificial added
Right.
sugar. Added sugars, not good.
Right. Yeah. So not along with that, and you can keep going there with that, but like with the ingredient labels as you're going through other things you want to pay attention to, like you just had sugar, specifically added sugars, right? Because if you look at it, I keep saying apple, you look at any fruit, there's sugar in it, right?
Oh yeah, like I have fruit right here. The sugar in a 1 apple is 11.3 grams, which is almost as much as 1 cup of Lucky Charms.
Right.
But what's the difference?
One's natural, one's artificial. Yeah. All sugars are not created equal.
They're not pumping sugar into that apple. That apple has a natural sweetness that it comes with.
That your body knows how to assimilate with. You kind of got to think about like our bodies as like these like souped up like, nightclubs where there's bouncers or whatever, to where like the bouncers aren't great. They kind of let everything in. So as you're eating, like you're literally taking a foreign outside substance and you're assimilating it to your body.
Right.
That's what our body does in digestion. Crazy that our body does that. You're taking this foreign substance, putting it in, and it's assimilating, and then taking what you're putting in and making your organs out of it. Your heart is made out of the food you eat, right? Like, so you start thinking about like, well, what do you want your body to be made out of? Doritos, Lucky Charms, for the most part, or real foods, right? Our body takes these things and assimilates them to it. So the sugars, things like that come from an apple, your body's like, I know what this is, right? Because we were made to be able to assimilate those things. And so it takes it and it makes stronger heart, stronger kidneys, stronger brain, right?
Yeah.
These artificial ones, it's like, timeout. What is this? I'm not real sure what this is. I don't know how to assimilate it. And that's when you start ending up with like your gut impermeability, right? Where it's like you have leaky gut, you have all these different issues, brain fog, because your brain's like, or your body's like, I don't know what to do with this stuff.
Right. But yeah, like sugar, your body needs sugar. It doesn't need nearly as much sugar as we give it.
Right.
And if I'm being completely honest, that's my biggest struggle. I have a sweet tooth. Like I said, I ran a bakery. I love sweets. So I was not willing to cut those out completely, and nor should you, because again, your body does still need some sugar, but when you're turning to things like raw unfiltered honey instead of the box of Lucky Charms or, just regular white, bleached sugar, talk again about something that's bleached. Sugar is not naturally that bright white color.
Right.
But if, the honey, the pure maple syrup, there's a ton of sugar. I think it's like in 1 tablespoon, it's a ridiculous amount. I want to say it's like 30 to 40 grams of sugar. But again, it's a natural sugar. Now, should you be drinking a bottle of pure maple syrup on a regular basis? Probably not. I would not suggest that.
Or even having it every day.
Yeah, right. Probably not.
Right?
But you have that every once in a while. Like sometimes I'll put some in my coffee or putting honey in tea. Like that's okay. They're natural sugars. Don't go overboard because it's still sugar, but there's better options out there.
Right. So you want to pay attention to added sugars, right? Sugar, added sugars, carbs, right? Because carbs break down as sugar, so you kind of want to have an idea of how many carbs, right? So when you start looking at some of these serving sizes, right? Of here's a serving size, okay, well, how many sugars are in it? How many carbs are in it? So now it's not just your serving size, but what is this looking like there? You can go over some more here to add a couple of things like protein. Protein is one of our macronutrients. You want to make sure you're getting good amounts of protein. And calories, these are all things you want to pay attention to. And then as you kind of go over a few more here, but you don't have to agonize over this stuff though. No.
Never at any point, people would ask, oh, how many calories are you eating a day? How many this, how many that?
When I lost weight, right? How much fat did you eat every day? How many calories did you eat every day?
I don't know. We literally never count. And they're like, what do you mean? You don't know? You're not keeping track of that stuff? No. I'm just making sure that whatever calories I am putting in are worth it.
Literally, I made sure I was following these 4 rules.
Yep.
We already talked about 1, right amounts. We're talking about right foods now. The other 2 are coming in the next episode. I made sure I was following those 4 rules and the weight melted.
Right. Because that's the thing. Yes, there is homework and yes, there's a little bit of work. But once you learn this, it's not a daily, I have to count this and I have to, we just knew, okay, as long as we're eating these types of foods, we're good. And once we retrain our bodies to eat the right amounts of these right types of food, we're good. There's no, math needed. Just be mindful of things.
It just be mindful. That's the first hack we said. I remember, so a lot of this was during COVID where people were gaining weight. I actually ended up losing weight. I was working from home, the majority of the world was. And so I was able to have lunch from home, which was great, and dinner, all that kind of stuff. And so you'd be like, hey, what do you want to have for lunch? What was always my first question?
Well, what are we having for dinner?
What are we having for dinner? Why would I ask that question? Well, because if she was like, oh, well, we're going to be having spaghetti for dinner with, some homemade
Italian
sourdough, right? Or whatever,
yeah.
right? So I'd be like, okay, so we're going to have probably a more carb-heavy dinner with the noodles and the bread, which is okay.
Right.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to have a back off of the carbs for lunch.
Maybe I don't have a sandwich for lunch.
Right.
Maybe
so, hey, let's get a good, and there's ways, and we'll talk about this not necessarily later today, but at a different time, of good, delicious, amazing filling salads, right? Hey, I'm going to have this amazing salad for lunch because I know we're going to be having a more carb-heavy dinner. Hey, what are we doing for dinner tonight? Oh, it's going to be this soup or this or whatever where it's less carbs. Okay, hey, a wrap or a sandwich might be okay for lunch then. And it was just being mindful. I didn't count the carbs.
Yeah.
We didn't look at the calories. It just was being mindful of what you're eating and not just mindlessly shoving food in, right?
So. Absolutely. I love... And I went, one of the things you had told me, and I think you had heard it from Dan Churchill, right?
Dan Churchill.
Was, enjoying food, eating should never equate to advanced math.
Right.
We don't have degrees in advanced math.
Nope.
I don't want to count macros and micros and all these different things. I don't know how to do that.
And we used no apps to calculate that stuff,
Yeah.
right? We just were mindful. And so for those who don't know who Dan Churchill is, right? So Dan Churchill is one of Chris Hemsworth's chefs, right? So you guys know we're big fans of Chris Hemsworth, one of his chefs. And he is crazy fit, like in great shape. And he's also a full-time chef. Just an amazing human being.
As well as one of the nicest people
Yeah,
on
we're
the
not.
planet.
We've met him a few times, been able to like actually work out with him, and just he's even nicer in person than you ever think he would be. Anyhow, I would recommend following him. We're not, sponsored by him or anything like that. He's just a super cool guy and a great resource. Daniel Churchill on Instagram, follow him. But he's like, hey, like eating food like shouldn't be advanced math. Yeah. And you look at him and you're like, oh gosh, like, and you look at his recipes. He's eating good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've used a lot of his recipes.
Yes.
Like, absolutely. Last thing we'll say about that is like, there's a lot of products on the shelf that are packaged in a way that you're like, dang, that has to be healthy. Like the box is green. It says, it might even say organic, or it might say gluten-free, or it might say...
in the healthy food section.
Which if there's a health food section, what does that... I keep hearing this. What does that mean about the rest of the food in the grocery store?
What's the rest of the grocery store?
There's this little health section and everything else is not healthy? Okay. But yeah, so you look at these packages, you're like, oh, this has to be healthy. And then you pick it up and read the nutrition label. I remember there was a point, and not that you don't like them now, but there was a time where you were those crunchy chickpea snacks.
Yeah.
You loved them. And again, not that you don't love them now,
Right.
but I was like, man, I don't have time to make these at home all the time. Not that they're super hard, but I know it's just chickpeas, some, olive oil and sea salt,
right,
whatever.
right.
But I'm like, if I could get a bag of them so that they're just ready and he can take them to work, whatever. And I saw ones that it was like, had all the right things on the package that you would think, this is super healthy. All that needs to be in this package is chickpeas and olive oil or coconut oil or something like that.
Avocado oil, whatever.
Avocado oil and sea salt. I turned that sucker around and the list was as long as my arm of things that were in these crunchy chickpeas. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Right.
Brain does not compute.
Right.
What are all these other ingredients that are not needed? Because they were sea salt flavored. It wasn't like, oh, well, they're, white cheddar, blah, 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 with all these different things. And I was like, okay, and back on the shelf you go.
Right.
So that's where you just got to read and
be mindful. And the first couple of times, like Michelle said a few times, like it's going to feel a little like homework. It'll become more natural. Things you want to be careful of, right? Of phrases like gluten-free. Not that gluten-free means that it's healthy or unhealthy. It just means it's gluten-free.
Yeah.
Just the phrase gluten-free has been tied to health, and it's really not. Fat-free. Fat-free, I'm not saying it is or isn't healthy. It actually has nothing to do with health. It just means it's fat-free. Right? Probably if it's fat-free, just kind of a side note, they had to ultra-process that food to extract the fat out of it. So you're probably going to find a lot more chemicals in those foods. Side note, the fat that's in food is not the same fat that we were trying to lose on our body.
Right.
Two completely different things. It's unfortunate that the fat that's in food is called fat because we immediately think, oh, fat, I don't want it. It's the enemy. It is
Our
not.
bodies need fat, and
Yes.
there's very good options to get good
Right.
fats in your food.
Like everything, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to eat all the fat in the world, right? There's moderation,
Yeah.
but
Fat-free.
remember the first thing, right amounts.
Right. Fat-free, sugar-free. You got to think, too, if they're taking those things out, they're probably replacing it with something else,
How come sugar-free stuff still tastes good?
right?
Because they're removing the sugar and adding something, those food scientists adding
Right.
something to still make it taste good. It's probably not a natural ingredient.
Excuse me.
Organic, something else you want to be careful of.
Yeah.
Organic doesn't mean it's healthy or not healthy. It just means it's organic.
Right. I've seen a bunch of things that say, like, oh, it has organic, and I think I've even seen things that like organic vegetable oil. I'm like, I don't even know how that's possible. Like,
Right.
I don't know that exists. Or, it has these organic ingredients. It's like, but the actual ingredient itself is not good. So it doesn't matter if it's organic or not.
Yeah, if there's
I
organic
don't want
poop in
that.
something, it doesn't mean it's healthy.
Right. You don't want to eat that. Back away from the
Right?
organic poop.
The organic turds. Stay away from organic turds.
Yes. So that health washing, be careful of
Yeah.
that.
Explain this one. So, like, just because something says olive oil in the title. Right?
Okay, so we talked about mayo, and like Eric said, hey, I actually, prefer like hummus now and stuff. We still buy mayo,
And still put it on stuff.
and we still put it on stuff all the time. I usually look for either olive oil mayo or avocado oil mayo. I was buying this one that said olive oil mayo. I thought I had looked at the nutrition label and somehow I missed it. Recently, I found another one that I was like, oh, this one's good. I wonder what the difference is. Turned around the one that I had been buying for a while, and it was like olive oil. And then after that, it was like, and soybean oil, and this, and this. And I was like, wait. Are you serious? Like this thing that I've been eating because it said olive oil mayo on it had all these other oils in it after the olive oil? I'm like, you tricky little devil. That was not nice. Like it says it on the label, so you just assume, oh, this is good. This is what I'm looking for.
Right.
But they sneak that stuff in there.
Yeah.
So turn it over. Now we have one that we're using, and it's actually avocado oil. But literally you turn it around and it's like avocado oil, egg, salt, and like that's about it.
Right.
And I'm like, cool. I can pronounce that. I know what all those things are. That's really all it takes to make mayo. Next on the list is to make it from scratch because I've seen recipes and I'm like, dang, this is easy. This should be easy. So I'll let you know how that goes once I do it. But it should only be a few ingredients.
And that's a quick, I don't know, hack if you're like, oh, well, I don't know about all these ingredients. If you can look at it and say, these are all ingredients I could buy, and if I had the recipe, I could make it from home, probably a good product.
Right.
If you look at it and you're like, well, I wouldn't even know where that product is because I can't even know how to pronounce it, probably want to like make that less part of your diet, right? So, so be careful of the health washing, right? Of the gluten-free, fat-free, sugar-free, organic olive oil. Doesn't mean any of those foods are good or bad. We're not saying that those phrases are bad. We buy a lot of those foods that say that.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with the health of the actual food, the quality of it, right? So,
and here's the thing. I know we already mentioned this. We're not trying to villainize food. Like you talk about, oh, good foods versus bad foods. Food is not good or bad.
Right.
There are better options, and there are options that might not be as good for the goals that you're looking for. An Oreo cookie. I love Oreo cookies. You dunk that sucker in milk. Oh, like that. It's like a little comfort food.
Of course.
Right? They're not good for me. I know that there's ingredients in there that are not going to help me reach my health goals.
Right.
At the same time, if I want to sit and have a glass of milk and my little stack of 5 Oreo cookies and enjoy it, I'm going to do that because no food is inherently evil.
Right.
And so as we talk about this, like, yes, be mindful, but think about it more as like, okay, this is going to help me reach my goal. This probably isn't as much, and so I'm going to limit that. We talk about this 80-20 rule. If you want to explain, like, what does that look like?
So it's basically like you just want to have a healthy relationship with food. And if you just can reframe things to think more towards, this is going to be helpful towards my goals, this is going to be less helpful towards my goals, right? And then just stick close to your goals, right? That 80-20 rule you said is like 80+% of the time, make the food you're eating the ones that are going to be like, these, I can make a direct line. This is going to be helpful to my goals. 20% to, at the most 20% of the time, consume foods that'll be less helpful to your goals, right? Not bad, right? Oreos aren't bad. Twix aren't bad. Cheez-Its aren't bad. But if that's what the majority of what I'm eating are foods that are in those things, they're going to be less helpful to my goals.
Right.
And I'm going to struggle and I'm going to get frustrated, right? So it's not good versus bad. It's not evil versus good. It's, hey, this is going to be really helpful to me achieving my goals. This is going to be less helpful. So you just kind of want to reframe what you're doing, right? So that 80-20 rule. And one of the things you want to think about too is you're like, oh gosh, 80-20, maybe that's difficult or whatever. Wherever you're at, just move a little bit in the other direction. Maybe you're 50-50 now. Make it your goal this next month to go 55-45. Right now I'm going to make myself do quick math here, right? 60-40. Kind of start moving in that direction, right?
It doesn't have to be an overnight, okay, I'm changing everything. And if you
don't
can
make
do that
it-
and want to.
Right.
But
We would encourage you not to, right?
Right.
It's slowly building, stacking habits that'll help
that's
you.
when it sticks.
Yes.
That's when you're like, okay, I didn't cold turkey quit everything. Like, this has been a slow, habitual life change that, oh, I can stick with this. I didn't, just throw
Right.
everything out the window on day one. But one phrase that we use a lot is, you can't outwork a poor diet.
Right.
This is why food was so important. You think about, you work out for, 30, maybe 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week, somewhere in there. What are you doing with the other 23 hours?
Right.
Like, it's great that you've worked out for, 30 to 60 minutes, but you have 23 more hours in your day that are going to add up to either healthy or unhealthy choices. And
Yep.
so food is a big part of that.
Yep.
We're eating for longer amounts of the day than we're working out typically.
Yeah.
So,
Weight loss is one, health is won and lost in the kitchen,
right.
right? Not necessarily in the weight room. I exercise, and I can't say all the time like crazy, but I love exercising actually now. There's times where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it, but I actually, it's part of me now when I don't do it, like I'm like, okay, I miss it. But weight loss and health is won and lost in the kitchen, right? And if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And I know that sounds so dumb, but that's a phrase that we heard. Someone else you want to follow on Instagram again that this guy we actually haven't met. His name's Brian Mazza. Follow him, entrepreneur, living a really, really good healthy life. But he said that. I don't know if he coined it or whatever, but if your diet stays the same and you're expecting drastic changes in your life and health, it's not going to happen. If nothing changes, nothing changes, right? We've talked to people who were not willing to make the change, and that's okay. They're not bad people. We just say, all right, cool. Once you get to a point where you understand where you're like, I want to make those changes, should you get to that point, then come and help us out. If you're happy where you're at, then stay where you're at, right? It's not my job to judge someone whether they're necessarily healthy or not. Like I can say, hey, like, what are some of the blood, what do your blood levels look like? What do some of your labs look like? Okay, you probably want to work on some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. But people got to come to a spot where they want to make the change. And if that's you listening right now, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember a friend saying like, oh man, I started running and I'm running for 2 miles a day and I'm not losing any weight. And we talked about like what they're eating. And they're like, well, I don't want to change anything about what I'm eating. I'm like, okay, then don't expect like that, okay, you're running 2 miles and that's fantastic and kudos to you. If you enjoy it, keep doing it. But if you're doing that thinking, okay, I hate this, but I'm going to do it because I want to lose weight, but I'm not willing to change what I'm actually eating and putting in my body, and now I'm getting frustrated. Like if you don't change your habits, your nutrition, it's you can't outrun a poor diet.
Right.
You have to desire to make the necessary changes. And at that point she just wasn't. And that's okay. We weren't for a long time either.
Right. The good and bad thing is as much as like when you start stacking up good habits, like the benefits start exponentially growing, right? Mm-hmm. Multiplication happens quickly. It happens with bad habits too, right? So now you're jogging and you're frustrated because you really don't like jogging anyway, but you're doing it because you feel like it's what's supposed to be doing. So now you're already kind of like maybe in a poor mood about it, right? You're not seeing the results. So now maybe like, I don't want to say necessarily depression, but like you're angry, you're frustrated, there's stress levels. Then on top of that, you're not eating well. Like those bad habits also are going to exponentially grow to make it to where your goals are going to be harder to get to, right? So, and finally, if you start, like, I love what you said this, like you start small and just start adding them in, like it's not overnight. Like I literally just read this the other day and I've heard it before, but like you didn't become unhealthy overnight. You're not going to become healthy overnight, right? I didn't become 335 pounds overnight and all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, where'd this come from? It was lifestyle habits that slowly built up to there. And so it was changing those lifestyle habits to slowly get down to where I needed to be, right? So understand it will be a process, right? So with that, we're hoping this helps out a little bit. A couple other last things here is some foods that we want to give you a list to kind of help out some foods or some things you want to look for that you might be kind of want to try to distance yourself from a little bit, right? We're not saying these are necessarily bad, but I always kind of think about it like relationships. Maybe you have like that friend or whatever that when you're around, it's okay, but they're fun or whatever, but you're like, whenever you're with them, like you're like, oh, we're going to probably make some bad decisions. This is not going to be great. I might wake up with a little bit of regret, but man, they're fun to be around or whatever. These foods are kind of like that we're going to tell you that you maybe kind of want to distance yourself with, like somewhat of like a quote unquote toxic relationship. These foods are a little bit toxic, right? They come across like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so fun and great, but I'm probably going to wake up with a little bit of regret, right?
Right. And some of the things that we're going to say are some of the words we've already said, like, okay, so anything that says artificial flavors, even natural flavors, chemicals, things you can't pronounce, those added colors, added sugars, those are the things you're going to be looking for as far as actual like words on the nutrition labels. Yeah, just break up with those as much as you can.
Just put some distance there, right? Yeah. Hey, they're not bad people, right? They're not bad things necessarily, but it's like, this is probably going to not be the most helpful, so you want to get some distance there, right?
Right.
These words are going to be in that 20%, right?
Yeah. Actual specific foods. So like whether you call it soda, whether you call it pop,
Or Coke. Apparently in the South, everything's Coke.
Everything's Coke, yeah. That's something, again, if you're having that every day, you're going to have a really hard time reaching any kind of health goals.
Right.
Like there's no nutritional value. Even the diet ones, even the zero this and that, like there's just nothing good in there
Right.
for you.
The best one, I can't remember the name of it right now. We're not affiliated with them anyway. But what is that one?
There's what, Olipop?
I think maybe it's Olipop, whatever. Like they are coming out with some pretty cool ones that actually have like functional mushrooms in them,
Right.
that actually have real like monk fruit, as opposed to like artificial sweeteners.
So if you're like, you have to have that soda, like
Again, we have no affiliation with
No.
Olipop, right? So, but
there definitely are better
yeah,
options
if
out
you're
there.
like, oh my gosh, I love my
or you
soda.
want to break up with it slowly. Okay, let me try this to kind of
Yeah.
wean myself off,
Right.
something like that. Sports and energy drinks. Like you see kids pounding Gatorade and they're just sitting in school. It's like they're not exerting energy. Like
Right.
none of us, unless we are professional athletes, are exerting enough energy where we need to refuel with Gatorade on a regular basis.
Right.
Like that's great for, oh yeah, I'm a professional football player and I'm running in 90 degrees and 100% humidity and this and that. Okay, yeah, you're probably losing some electrolytes and stuff like
Right.
that. There are actual better options anyway.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these, like, I always like to call them a lot of these aids, right? The flavor aids, Gatorades, Powerades, right? All these different things, right? Also come along with a lot of artificial sugars, sweeteners, colors. So as much as you might be getting electrolytes in, which we're big fans of getting electrolytes in, you're getting a lot of extras with those. And like what you just were going to say is that there are really actual natural ways of getting those
Yeah.
in. Like one of the ones, again, no affiliation, but just throw it out there. Company called Element, LMNT. They are real electrolytes. If you're like looking for like the energy drink type thing, I would recommend going
Yeah,
there.
they're
So
fantastic.
again,
And they taste good. And
Yeah.
I'm picky with stuff like that.
Right.
And that's the one that I will typically go for.
Monster energy drinks, things like that, like they literally have done studies and have been able to tie those type of drinks directly to cancer causing agents. I would highly endorse you. It's hard for me to say that those are less helpful. They're definitely less helpful to your goals, but I would try to break up with something like that as much as you can. Right.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. This one we're probably going to step on some toes, and I apologize ahead of time, but sorry, not sorry. Your favorite chain coffee
Yeah.
place, the Bucks, the Timmy Ho's.
Right.
Like,
The sugary coffees.
yeah, dang.
And listen,
One every once in a while.
right. That's
If I
it.
go out with my girls and they're like, Mom, can we get Starbucks? I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Like, that's fine every once in a while. But if you're starting your morning with a Starbucks Frappuccino every day, look at the nutrition facts on that. It's going to make you back away
Yeah.
slowly.
It's going to
Like,
make a Snickers bar look healthy,
yeah.
right?
And they're
So-
delicious, and I get it.
and
But I
it's
tell you,
totally okay.
yeah. I tell you what, when you start drinking actual, like, good coffee, and, like, we make a lot of ours at home, we have a little coffee bar and stuff. I prefer that now. I've gone to Starbucks or some of the other places, and again, not that I'm hating on Starbucks necessarily, but the stuff we make at home tastes better. Like, I've gotten some of my favorite drinks there, and I'm like, this doesn't taste as good anymore. Honestly, it's not really worth it, you know? So if you can find a way to either make it at home or, I don't know, again, there's better options out there. We'll be sharing some of our favorites as we go through, but try and limit that as much as possible.
Yep. Yeah. Especially like, you're starting your day every day. It's not starting on the right foot. We can get into all the things around insulin resistance and things like that and what that sugar is actually doing to your body first thing in the morning. You're not setting yourself up for a great day, right? Whether that be Starbucks, Tim Hortons, or if you're at home, that was me. You were at home
Right.
with, I would literally have a Yeti type travel mug, pour coffee in it that we made from home. I would put 2
Heaping
tablespoons of sugar, and then put the like International Delight 2 tablespoons of that in there. Drink it up, and like
You got as much
and then-
sugar in there as you
and
got
then
coffee.
I'm like, man, why do I struggle to lose weight? I'm a relatively healthy eater, right? So I decided to back off when that and slowly brought back down to where I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna drink my coffee black now, and sometimes I'll still put a few like honey and things like that in there to make the coffee taste really good. But yeah, so those are things you kind of get back away from. Other words you're going to kind of want to like stay away from, or like, you want to kind of have that distance with. We already hit on some of them: processed, refined, enriched. We want our food unrefined. We want it to be rebellious and unrefined, right? So enriched, refined, processed, those are all fancy words for just, ultra processed, right?
Going through some kind of chemical change.
Think about it. If it's like, this is ultra processed flour, you'd be like, oh gosh. But if it's enriched flour, it's enriched,
Sounds
right?
great. What did they enrich it with?
This
Probably
is-
lots of good things.
This is your
false.
refined sugar, right? As opposed to like the unrefined, rebellious sugar, right?
Yeah.
So we want unrefined. You don't want enriched. You don't want processed, right? So things like that. So those are some things some foods, like things you want to look for to be like, let me put some distance between myself and those, right? Let's put those things in that 20%, right? Things that you want to throw into the 80%, right? These are the friends that when you're with them, you're like, oh, we have a good time, and maybe you don't have like the blast riot nights you do with your other friends, but you're like, it's always good, and we have deep conversation. It's amazing.
And I just feel good afterwards.
I feel good like afterwards. We have friends
Makes
that
my soul happy.
Yes, right. Like, so these are people you want to be with. But what maybe is lacking in the flash is more than made up with the substance. Is words like we already talked about. Organic. As much as we before said, hey, organic doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. That's true, but with the chemicals and stuff that's being sprayed on these crops. Specifically glyphosate, which is literally slowly killing America. If you can get organic, and we get it, sometimes it's wicked expensive, and we understand that. Like, we get it. If you can do it, do it. Organic. Any seasonings, especially organic seasonings, but like any seasonings and spices, like that's what makes food amazing. Like, we have a whole spice cabinet full of spices. What are ones that we literally throw in like in almost everything?
I mean, for me, garlic powder, onion powder, all the green things, thyme, parsley, oregano, basil. But then we also love things like cumin, which is, you think of cumin, usually you think either like Indian style food or like tacos. Like, I smell it, it smells like tacos to me. Chili powder, paprika, turmeric, which, careful with your fingers. You use it and get it on your hands, your fingertips will be yellow for a week.
And be careful how much you put in. Turmeric is powerful.
Yes, but really good and really good for you.
And then what is the greatest, the greatest spice of all time is... Cinnamon.
Yes, this is Eric's love language is cinnamon.
Right? Side note, challenge to everybody on here. I'm looking for comments on here. You can comment, whether it be in the YouTube channel, whatever. Name me something that cinnamon doesn't make better.
This is a question he asks pretty much everyone. It's kind of ridiculous, actually,
nothing.
His obsession with cinnamon.
Cinnamon makes everything
because it can
better.
be sweet or savory. So I literally started putting cinnamon in my chili. Tell you what, it makes it better. I had to agree with him. I'm still not 100%.
Put in your coffee to make it sweeter. Cinnamon is great in coffee. Like, we'll put it right in like the filter before we grind it. Amazing cinnamon flavored coffee.
Yeah, I would love for someone to be able to prove Eric wrong with something that cinnamon can't go in. My version of that is honey. I don't think there's anything that honey doesn't make better.
I could agree with that too.
Yeah, like it's because, again, sweet or savory. It's great.
We put it on pizza. I know, right? Did your mind just get blown? Put raw, unnatural, raw, natural, unfiltered
there you
honey.
Go.
Put some of that on your pizza. It'll change your life.
Yes, good stuff.
With cinnamon.
I have yet to put cinnamon on my pizza.
Delicious. So, yeah, seasoning, spices, sea salt, fruits and veggies, good fats. So good fats would be things that, like, when you think about when you're eating meat and you're like, oh, cut all the fat off of meat. Whatever, you don't like it, cut it off. Fat on a meat is good. Like,
it adds flavor.
It adds flavor. It also, too, is actually good for you. It is not the same type of fat that is that we were trying to get rid of on our body, right?
Yeah.
Raw nuts and seeds. That's one of my favorite go-tos. It's a handful of, we make our own trail mix. By make our own, we're not growing seeds or things like that, but like we buy a bunch of raw
nuts, almonds, and cashews.
Yep, and put them in our own jar, mix it up.
And, yeah, good stuff.
And so it's super good. Even get like lightly salted. You can get lightly sea salted, like delicious. Words like we already mentioned, unrefined, and in general, just unmessed around with, right? Stuff that's not messed around with. Chocolate. Chocolate is really healthy for you in its like natural state, right? So like we get like there's 70% cocoa, whatever you want to call it, 70% dark chocolate is really good for you. Now, should you eat pounds of dark chocolate every day. No, but you can even eat some of that every day. Again, what's the first one is the right amounts.
Right.
The right amounts of the right foods.
And I will say this about chocolate too. Like, again, being a sweet tooth, I was always milk chocolate all the way. Like, why would you eat anything other than milk chocolate? It's delicious. And it took me a little bit of time. I was like, oh, dark chocolate, okay. But now that I eat dark chocolate on a regular basis and love it, if I have milk chocolate, I get the pucker face. I'm like, ooh, okay, that's really sweet. Like it's too sweet. So you can change your taste buds. It
Yes.
takes a little bit of time, but not as long as you would think. Like, I love dark chocolate
Right.
now. Again, I do not go for the milk chocolate because I'm like, it's just too much.
Right. Yes. So let's just quickly, because it's something we have down here later to talk about. We'll talk about it now. Taste buds. Your taste buds, like they're kind of like your skin. You know, we all know how we shed skin, right? The majority of dust in your house or wherever is skin particles, right? Because we shed
Yeah.
our skin. Yeah, gross. We do the same thing with our taste buds. Our taste buds are shed. You get new taste buds roughly every 3 weeks, every 21 days or so, roughly, is when you get new taste buds. Super weird, right? But it's true. So, a better way to reframe things is like, ugh, I don't like this. For me, it was tomatoes. For the longest time, up until probably like, 5 years ago? Hated them. Like, you could not pay me enough money. Okay, you could pay me enough money to eat a tomato. But, like, I wouldn't eat tomatoes, right? I
Right.
just didn't like them. I was like, ugh, not my thing, right?
And he married someone who
Loves them, right?
loves them.
So she
loves
was like,
tomatoes.
hey, just kind of, she put them
I'd
in
sneak 'em in
cooking. Yeah,
things,
right,
yeah.
right. Now, especially like in the summer, we have these cherry tomatoes that will have like just kind of out, almost like if you were to have like a bowl of grapes out. I'll walk by and just pop them. Like, and I'm like literally, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that was so good. And like, I always am like, I don't believe I'm even saying that.
Right. And you're like, wow, these ones are sweet. And you don't typically think of tomatoes, but like you taste the sweetness of
Unreal.
a tomato.
Like,
Yeah.
So my taste buds have changed. So reframe your thinking to say like, I don't prefer this now. Slowly start, especially these things we just talked about, foods to get to know better, slowly start implementing them. I'm not saying you have to jump in full force, right? Slowly start implementing them. Allow your taste buds to change, like, because not only will your taste change, but literally your taste buds will change and you will start to like them more and more. I'm not saying it's overnight. I'm not even saying it's going to be in a week. But slowly start to do it, and you'll be like, I'm not saying you're going to fall in love with it, but you'll be like, okay, I like this. It's fine.
Right.
Like, I like it. And especially knowing how it's more helpful to my goals, I like that more too.
Right. And that's, again, my version of that was tea.
Oh, and chocolate.
And chocolate, absolutely, like I already mentioned. But like tea, I think maybe we all know, maybe we don't. Like, tea is good for you. There's a lot of good things, especially if you have a good quality organic
Loose-leaf
tea,
tea,
loose
yep,
leaf tea.
yep.
Fantastic health benefits. They've been drinking it for centuries and centuries.
Since the
and
beginning of time, they've been making tea and
Right.
drinking it.
I'm with bringing back Ted Lasso on this.
Hot brown water.
Hot brown garbage water. Like tea to me always tasted like water that was trying to be something different, but failed miserably. I'm like, this tastes like it wants to have flavor, but it doesn't. And so, you and especially, our daughter Autumn would drink tea all the time. I'm like, you guys are crazy. And then I slowly kept being like, okay, give me a sip, let me try it. Give me a sip and let me try it. I would add ridiculous amounts of honey to make it taste better. But we finally found a couple.
Did not check the right amounts box there.
I'm like, if I'm going to eat tea or if I'm going to drink tea, it's going to have at least half a cup of honey in it. Yeah, probably not helpful. But we started finding some teas that were very flavorful, where it was like, oh, okay, this actually has some flavor to it. And I can get behind this. Like, this actually tastes, like it has something. And then the more I kind of experimented with those, it was like, oh, this one isn't as flavorful, but I actually don't mind it anymore. And now we drink tea on a regular basis.
Right.
And I don't put a half a cup of honey in
Right.
it. I have the normal amount of honey, maybe
Right.
probably more still than you put in it, but
That's okay.
I really like it and
Yeah.
I'm getting those benefits. And so even things like that, like, give stuff a chance. Give foods that you're like, I will never eat that ever in my life. If it's good for you and you know it's good, like, just try it and keep just trying a little bit here and there and here and there, and you'll be shocked at how easy it is to transform
Yeah.
your taste buds.
Especially when you start putting the knowledge with it too. Like, I like this and it's good, and I know it's more helpful for me.
Right.
As opposed to, this is good too, and I know it's less helpful. Maybe the taste is sometimes, but sometimes it even, like you said, with the chocolate, you're like, oh my gosh, this is too sweet now. Like it literally, like sometimes like it'll hurt my teeth. I'm like, ooh, gosh, that's weird. But anyhow, so yeah, so okay, so we talk about some of the different foods, like so shopping, right? The biggest thing in shopping, and obviously, like, well, I mean, obviously, but I know, but you do the majority, if not the vast majority of the shopping in our house, but like is moderation, right? Even the more helpful stuff. So we're not saying go buy make your grocery list all chocolate or all tea or even all carrots and all apples or all blueberries, right? You eat all carrots, your skin will turn orange because of what the beta carotene that's in carrots, it will turn your skin orange, right? So you don't want to eat all carrots all the time, even though they're natural, organic, good for you. You want to be careful, right? So moderation. And then another big thing is variety.
Right.
Variety truly is, talk about spices, the spice of life, right? Variety. You want to be eating different foods and bringing different things in, and you will honestly be shocked what you can do. Now, we already talked about like how your taste buds can change and things like that. And then that makes it easier too, as you're doing that, to make some swaps, right? When you start slowly introducing these things and you're like, oh, I can start slowly buying this less that's not as helpful for my goals and buying this thing more before you're like, okay, guess what? This one I'm good with now. And now I have this one.
Right.
It won't happen overnight, but it's slowly making those small changes that pile up and make massive dividend changes.
And once you're eating more nutrient dense foods, you realize you need less of them.
Right.
Like I talked about the mayo. I used to go to like, it was, we have BJ's, maybe it's Costco for you, but like those big warehouse stores. I would buy mayo by the gallon. Like we literally had a gallon-sized mayo and a gallon-sized ranch dressing in our fridge on a regular basis.
And we always thought we eat relatively healthy.
I'm like, who does this? Oh, the Halls did this. And wondered like, oh yeah, why can't we lose weight? And we'd go through it. I'm not going to say we went through a gallon in a week, but like it was like probably monthly, we'd go through this. Now that, we've changed it out, I'm buying a better version of mayo. I buy one jar. Now that one jar that's this big as opposed to this big is probably the same price as the one that's this big. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it's smaller and it's cheaper. It's more expensive, but it lasts the same amount of time because I don't need to slather mayo on everything. I get that taste. I like it. It's good.
Nutrient dense.
It's nutrient dense. I don't need to have a gallon of mayo every month. So you might be spending a little bit more, but you're going to need a lot less of it. So just keep that in mind, as you're swapping things out.
One of those swaps we made, and like we can talk about other ones that people talk about, like the mustard to mayo swap, like in our mind, kind of like when I was talking about the hummus to mayo swap, like not the same, right?
No, if you like mustard, that's great, but they're not the same thing.
No.
But changing the mayo you are using is a great,
Right. Just start looking at ingredients. There are other things available. You just got to be mindful. Why do I like this? What is it about I like? What can I find, that is a better version of it, right? Because you kind of have your good, better, best, right? This is good, this is better, this is your best, right? And maybe that's the transition you make. Okay, this what I have here is okay. Let's find a better option. And then maybe later on, you're like, okay, here's the best option, right? And you kind of slowly make that transition. It does not have to be overnight or everything. Like just slowly find the things that they call the low-hanging fruit, the things that's going to be the biggest bang for your buck. This is pretty crazy unhealthy, okay? Maybe for you, it's, and not that villainize ice cream. We have cartons of ice cream at our house, but you can make your own as well. So maybe that's something you're like, well, I love ice cream. Okay, well,
I'm going to invest the $30 in an ice cream maker
and figure out how to make it yourself, right? And then you can make your own flavors and do your own things, and maybe that's the swap you make, right? But you figure out, here's the building blocks. You figure out what works for you and take it. Like we said, this fits into any diet frame, right? So...
and like Eric said, just that variety. Try new foods. Try new food types as far as when you like different ethnic foods.
Right.
We talk about that, standard American diet. We can very much be all about the burger and the fries and the burger. And trust me, we love a good burger and fries. But we started branching out into different ethnic type foods. And one that we found that like our whole family loves is Thai food.
Right.
I started making all these Thai dishes, and it was like, talk about spices and seasonings. Because in my mind, I always associated, Thai or Asian food, spicy, hot. I can't handle it. I'm like a baby when it comes to that. But spice doesn't necessarily mean hot. It also just means flavor. And there's so many good spices and flavors in Thai food. that we started making all these homemade things, and our kids love it. We love it. So try something new, like look up recipes, healthy recipes. And we can even share some of our favorite places to go. Someone I'll say now that I've fallen in love with, who has great, when you talk about like Asian food, is Half Baked Harvest.
Right.
Tegan Gerard, she has amazing options, and their majority of her stuff is whole,
Good ingredients.
good ingredient, type foods. But I use a lot of her recipes. And like I said, it's stuff that I never would have thought we'd be eating on a regular basis, but now we love it. And it's a regular rotation
for us,
our
like,
weekly meal plan.
Think about like even like Vietnamese and Korean and Thai. Like these are things that like are far outside the burger and fries. We love a good homemade burger and homemade fries. We do it on a regular basis, right? But there's so many other great ethnic foods that are out there that we're just like, this is unreal.
Right, that are going to bring in certain veggies and certain fruits and certain proteins that maybe you're not used to getting, but it's going to just
that variety will just be not only will it be delicious for you, but like your gut will be like singing your praises, because all those good things are going to make for a very strong gut.
Right.
Which will be great. So,
and the last thing we want to hit on with food is, we know buying meat. When you go to the grocery store and you're trying to find the best cuts of meat, like you look at the organic, 100%, grass-fed, pasture-raised, all these things, we know that they're good. And again, we could do a whole podcast on this, but it does make a difference.
Massive difference. Like it's not even a small difference, it's a massive difference.
Right. But then you start looking at the price versus the benefits, and you're like, dang, like I want to do this.
Especially family of 6.
Right. Like it gets expensive fast. And so we've done our homework. We've looked around at a lot of places, and we still get some at the grocery store.
We got out calculators and paper and pencil and wrote this
okay,
stuff
if I
down.
buy this from here, this many pounds per month, what do we typically go through? Okay, this is what it's going to cost. Okay, if we get it from here. So one place, and I just want to preface this, we are not sponsored by this company. We get no incentives, anything like that. But we started using Wild Pastures. It's just an online where we subscribed. We get a certain amount of pounds or whatever each month. For us, we found it's the best bang for our buck because it's sustainably sourced.
The
100%.
farming is sustainable, which is huge.
Huge, organic, grass-fed, all the right things that you're looking for at a price that I can justify. Where I say, if I went to the grocery store, I actually would be spending more money.
Yep.
So if
that's where we did the math.
That's where we did the math. Wild pasture might not be, your answer, but find what it is. If you want to try it, again, not that we're sponsored by them, but anytime you sign up for a subscription for anything, nowadays they'll give you, hey, share this with your friends, and here's a coupon code. And if you share it and they use it, you get $20 off your next box or whatever. They get a discount. We do have one of those codes, again, just because we've subscribed, so we'll share that.
You'll get one. So we'll put that in the show notes, and you can use it, and you'll have savings on your first one. And then you'll get your own link, and you can share it with your friends or whatever. So
so if you want to try it, and get a little bit of money off, we'll share that as well. But that's what worked for us. Find what works for you.
Yeah.
There are options out there that will not cost you an arm and a leg. There are ways to do it for sure.
Perfect. So we have the right amounts of the right foods. That's the 2 we're going to talk about today. We went over. We'll have 2 others. Both start with right that we'll talk about the next episode. So make sure you hang in there, tune in, listen to the next one. But before we take off, we always have our rudimentary ritual and our recipe that we want to share. So for our rudimentary ritual, basically the thing that we're like, man, we're going to be committed to doing this. That's simple, rudimentary, but something that we're going to be committed to doing on a regular basis is planning, especially in regards to food, is planning our treats and sweets.
Right.
As like thinking through your week and being like, oh, there's a birthday party coming up. We're going out with friends. We're probably going to get dessert or whatever. Like, of being like, okay, if that's the case, then I'm not going to be pounding the snacks during the week. 'Cause I know this is coming up. I'm going to look forward to it. Again, it's that mindfulness. And when I eat that dessert, it's going to be like, I'm going to be enjoying it with my friends, my family, and it's going to be unreal. So
and that's
planning.
That's the time where it's okay. Like you don't need to ask the restaurant, I'm going to need to see the nutrition label for this slice of cheesecake. Just eat the cheesecake. That's that 20% we talked about. 80% of the time you're doing all the right things and eating all the right foods. Cool. So that 20% you can enjoy the piece without guilt. That's why we don't call it cheat. We're not saying like, oh, your cheats for the week. No. You're not cheating
No, no.
anything. You're
Get that
enjoying.
phrase out of your mind, right? That's kind of like, I don't want to say a poor relationship with food, but not the greatest relationship with
Right,
food.
absolutely. Like, it's okay to have a treat. It's
Right.
okay to have sweets. So you just got to plan a little bit for
Yeah.
it, and that's okay. Our recipe
Yep.
for the week, since we already mentioned how much we love Thai food, so we love making ramen. And when
Like
I
that
say
good old-fashioned college in a brick, we just buy it like crazy.
yeah, the
throw
little
it
seasoning
in.
packet that has like 5 million milligrams of sodium. No,
Yep.
that is not what we're talking
not
about.
even
That got
close.
us through college. That's not what we're eating now. We have elevated our ramen game.
Yeah, we're ramen experts.
Yeah, so I've had a bunch, like I said, in Half Baked Harvest, I've used a bunch of her recipes. But recently, I was like, okay, I really want to make ramen, but there were certain ingredients I didn't have, whatever. I literally looked at, I think, 4 or 5 different recipes, and I was like, that looks good in that one, but that looks good in that one, and so I made this mashup of like 4 or 5 different recipes
Right.
that I found and made our own, and it honestly was
So
my
good.
favorite ramen that
Like
we've made
as we're
to date.
recording, we had this, what, like 3-4 days ago?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Like to a point where I was like, okay, before I forget what I did, I need to write all this down so that I can remember what exactly I put in this, because I need to recreate this thing.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Yeah.
So our, what did you call it the other day? The TRL
Oh, the TRL ramen special.
ramen special. That's what
So
it
we'll
is.
put a link to the TRL ramen special
Yes.
in the show notes. You can go see like what we did, the method, the ingredients,
Right.
and
And
like,
there's nothing really crazy in it. Like,
No.
I feel like even younger kids, it's not hot and spicy. You could make it hot. Our one daughter who loves spice,
Adds chili to
add
everything.
chili oil, and like she can have it spicy. But it's not crazy out there where your kid's going to look at it and be like, excuse me, what is in my bowl?
yeah, we have picky eaters.
Yeah,
They loved it.
They loved it. So we'll share that with you. That's our recipe of the week.
Yeah, so we'll have that there. So, but yeah, so that's the show for today. Like we have the 2 things. Please continue on with us. The next 2 are just as important as the
Yeah.
2 we just did, right? We have the right amounts of the right foods, and then we'll have 2 other things to finish that sentence. That'll be great. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed the show today. Again, we have so much more coming your way. Like I
Yeah.
said, we have the part 2 of this food masterclass.
Stay
So
tuned.
with
Come
us.
back.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good stuff coming your way.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you next time. If you want more of Eric and Michelle Hall and TRL Radio in your life, and honestly, who doesn't, head over to therudimentarylife.com.
There, you'll be able to find all the things, show notes, videos, step-by-step instructions for each recipe, more ways to connect with us and join in with whatever shenanigans we're getting into.
Yeah, and for extra credit, leave us a rating on your favorite listening app. We definitely appreciate all the love.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.